only did a screening of My Brother Nikhil for, I think it was Humsafar or something, one of the NGOs that does a lot of work with HIV positive people there. And I saw the movie with them over there, and they were, some of them were positive, in watching the film, and they came out and they were crying and they were hugging us and telling us how me and Sanjay had represented them. And it just made me see what the power of cinema is. So Hip Hip Hurray spoke about things that people couldn't speak to their parents at home. But the thing is that I didn't want to do it because I had a mindset कि हिंदी टीवी सीरियल नहीं करना है. I was, as you said, OG Bandra boy. It was like मेरे दोस्त क्या बोलेंगे कि मैं टीवी सीरियल कर रहा हूँ. That was playing at the back of my mind. And then Rock On happened. I didn't know what I'd signed up to. But the first time it hit me like a full jhatka, like a lightning bolt, what I'd done is when we saw the movie for the first time. So I saw the movie and I couldn't move from the chair for the first 10 minutes of sitting there. I was like, ये क्या हुआ है? All that cockiness that built from Rock On, built, and it was supposed to sort of inflate even further with Jal, in my head at least, and then Jal happened, and when Jal flopped, I was like, oh! There was an article that came about my personal life, about someone I was dating at that point of time, and it was written in very bad light in a very popular entertainment publication, and that really troubled me. And after that, there have been a few things. I've been married before. There were a few things that came out even during that time.
But when a third person gets dragged into it, and without a fault of their or yours,
I don't know professional equations, but it hampers personal relationships. Inaya knows that. She knows she was born before Lucy and me were married, and we love her to death. I tried to show her Rock On, and we started playing it. 5 minutes later, she said, "Now can I go watch my?"
For any 90s kid, let me just tell you, it's impossible that we have not fallen head over heels for him, because he has been charming his way into our hearts, be it as a VJ, be it as a model or as an actor, but also as a person. Let me just tell you, this is my first meeting with him, but the vibes he gives now, I can tell you that he's much better in person as well. He's the OG Bandra boy, and today we are sitting in his home, and while you can't see it, let me just tell you, it's a beautiful home. And today I'm very excited because it's like reliving a little bit part of my growing up. I won't say childhood because he's not that old. Neither am I too young. So
even I was a child.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I can't speak yet. You go on.
No, you can. So it was both of our growing up years, and I'm very excited. So join me as I welcome Purab Kohli for a conversation only on Bollywood Bubble. So firstly, Purab, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me tell you, we have grown up watching the channel.
I also grew up when you were watching it.
Yeah, you were also growing with us. You might think that this generation doesn't, but I don't belong to this generation. I have missed out on being from Gen Z. So firstly, I have to start from the starting. You had a lot of switches in the kind of courses you were doing. You were doing commerce, then psychology. There was a lot of things, and you joined pilot school as well. There was a lot of indecision. What made you think and decide finally that acting was the one thing that you actually wanted to do?
My Brother Nikhil. Yeah, which was actually 7 years after I'd already finished acting. I started acting.
Yeah.
Everything else was work. तो मज़ा इतना नहीं आता था, काम था, करते थे, maybe बस यूं ही, that was also friends. But everything else became very sort of, I'm going to work, I had to be responsible, I had to be old. But I was not in that age, I was like still young. Then My Brother Nikhil happened, and when I had fun again on a set, I really enjoyed being on the set. And when I saw the movie, I remember, I'll tell you when exactly also it happened. I only did a screening of My Brother Nikhil for, I think it was Humsafar or something, one of the NGOs that does a lot of work with HIV positive people. And there were a lot of people who saw the movie over there, and I saw the movie with them over there, and they were, some of them were positive, in watching the film, and they came out and they were crying, and they were hugging us and telling us how me and Sanjay had represented them, and it just made me see what the power of cinema is, and that was, I was about 24, 25 years old then, and I was like, wow, I want to be a part of this. If I can make a difference like this in the work I do, if I can move people like that, that is a skill I have. It's given to me, this skill, I've been gifted it, I should utilize it and put it to good use.
But one thing that I really like is that when you did Hip Hip Hurray, I feel our generation actually got to see those shows which actually talked about the kids in
Correct.
a way it is meant to be.
Correct. बहुत लोग मुझे बोलते कि पेरेंट्स अलाउ नहीं करते थे हिप हिप हुर्रे देखने, used to hide in the on Wednesday, मतलब 7 o'clock बोलते इसके घर जा रहा हूँ पढ़ाई करने, जिसके पेरेंट्स स्कूल थे कि आप देख लो भाई, तो वहाँ बैठ के देखते थे.
And I remember a clip had gone viral abhi recently only, where there's a scene in the school canteen where people are talking and they have pointed out something very misogynist about some very iconic show. I'm forgetting which show, but they pointed out that, and I was like, see, the show was so woke even at that time.
Yeah.
But today, do you feel sad for?
Imagine you thought about woke then.
Yeah. do you still feel a little sad for your kids that they don't get to see such kind of projects today because somehow
Hip Hip Hurray is available on Z5.
It is
a lot of people are watching.
Yeah, they can watch it. But I'm saying the fresh content that is being made.
You know, Akash, I was in Dehradun last in April shooting a film. And you know, Dehradun is a boarding school town.
Yeah.
तो वहाँ पे boarding school के बहुत बच्चे आते हैं. तो हमारी जो hotel थी वहाँ पे, I was eating breakfast. The 1 week school की कहीं किसी का कौन सा वो Dosco, the Dune school.
हाँ.
Basically all the Doscoites were coming in and they were going to, you know, their parents had come and last few days of sending their son off. साल शुरू हो रहा है. And then this lady comes up to me and says, and dragging her son, I made my son watch all the episodes of Hip Hip Hurray. So it's available on Z5. But you're right. I think that there are shows that represent the youth, and there are movies being made also that represent the youth, and in a good way also, like authentic. But I think that honesty of dealing and the quantity of the issues and the things that Hip Hip Hurray dealt with, having the liberty of working with 80 episodes, you know, कि हर एक problem जो एक 17-18 year old को होता है घर में, घर के बाहर, sexually, you know, all they talked. Hip Hip Hurray spoke about things that people couldn't speak to their parents at home. You know, they were feeling those things. We all feel things during puberty, getting into youth. You know, you feel those things that you can't speak about, you know, at home. Even, I mean, of course, sexuality and all is different. That's anyway a taboo subject. But even things like having a problem with your parent, you know, or having drug usage, or your friends not accepting you because you're doing a job. You know, that was my character had that. You know, he started working in Pizza Express, and the friend said, "How can it's so uncool for you to work?" You know, they were richer kids and he was not. You know, so like I'm liking what I'm doing and I'm making some money. Why not? You know, and that was me actually. I was working in Hip Hip Hurray. I was making money more than my friends were making. You know, घर से मिलता था मुझे, तो घर से लेने की ज़रूरत नहीं थी उस समय. So I was very proud to be having started work already. So these are issues that kids, I think now it's becoming easier and easier because the world is so open and people are talking about it. But not everywhere still. I think if you go into smaller parts of the country, or let's not say smaller parts of the country, I think it's more where mindsets are closed, houses are traditional, or not open enough to talk about things. Then it's nice to have a show that at least initiates a conversation if nothing else. So gives a person a feeling कि यार मैं बोल सकता हूँ और मैं अकेला नहीं हूँ उस feeling में. अगर बाकी के लोग भी feel करते हैं, that's a very good feeling to have कि कोई साथ में है, कोई और भी feel कर रहा है ये चीज़, मैं ही अकेला नहीं हूँ. And I feel that is very nice.
And you didn't want to do it in the first place.
Hip Hip Hurray, yeah, I didn't want to do it. See? I really didn't want to do it. But the thing is that I didn't want to do it because I had a mindset कि हिंदी टीवी सीरियल नहीं करना है. You know, I was, as you said, OG Bandra boy. It was like, मेरे दोस्त क्या बोलेंगे कि मैं टीवी सीरियल कर रहा हूँ. You know, that was playing at the back of my mind. But when I went inside for that first meeting और बाकी के सब देखे तो ये तो मेरे जैसे हैं. That's the feeling I got, right? मैं अकेला नहीं हूँ उसमें. साथ में ये सब लोग वही फील कर रहे हैं जो मैं फील कर रहा हूँ. मेरे कॉलेज के हैं, मेरे दोस्त ही हैं. तो why not, you know? Why not break your stereotype, your thinking and do something different, and I'm so grateful for it 25 years later. 25
years is a long time in the sense that many people's career ends before that.
Yeah.
Because
I'm grateful.
And it's because this industry is very unforgiving, and not just industry, this profession is very unforgiving. It's till the time you're working, you are there. When you stop working, people don't. To maintain relevance through all this time, how challenging has it been? Also because a few years back you also moved outside India and then still keep on working, still keep on, as we discussed, all the immense amount of out of love got, especially from the mommies everywhere. Like being relevant and being aware about what is the audience you are serving to. That also has to be very, how is it being kind of staying relevant through all these?
Well, I think there are two things I've followed. One is, of course, which is the most important, कि whatever you're doing, you do it with full honesty and do it with full conviction. जो भी कैरेक्टर आप प्ले कर रहे हो, which not only characters, अगर आप शो भी कर रहे हो, कि मैं बहुत सारी चीज़ें शो भी की है मैंने, and the humility of doing the work. I think there's no bad work. Of course, there's bad scripts and all that you don't want to take up, but sometimes you feel, which I feel, when something becomes very big, then you're like, अरे मैं वो नहीं करूँगा, you know, you sort of become discerning about some work. But I think there's times when there is no work and you have to like think, okay, अभी क्या करें, you know, what should I do next to be relevant and show my face कि कुछ तो हो जाए. And I'm lucky, I have to say I'm lucky also कि काम आता रहता है and something interesting comes and I get noticed and then something else happens. So the graph is up and down. You know, when people see the अच्छा 25 साल हो गए and he's known and he's been there, there are a lot of up and downs. And not only me, even if you look at bigger stars than me, I mean, look at Shah Rukh Khan, for example. I mean, he's an amazing example. Last 5-10 years, you know, and then suddenly there's Jawan and Pathan and he's like, you know,
and when people had written him off, he was like,
the king status, you know, I mean, he's shown everybody कि यार मैं यही हूँ, सियासत पे मैं ही बैठा हूँ और कोई नहीं आने वाला है.
When you used to do interviews and you used to interact with people, there used to be a lot less of scrutiny on them.
Yeah.
Today, there's a lot of scrutiny, and I'm not just talking about the policing that happens or maybe the doctoring that happens. No, but also because of social media, what goes out gets judged.
Yeah.
Even the smallest thing you would say.
Yeah.
And it's understandably right also that they stay cautious. But somewhere do you feel that liberty that time offered in conversations, in you now give from the other side and you also have to think about a lot of things what you are speaking about. Do you miss that liberty a little bit?
I think we didn't think so much back then, you know, because there was no judgments, there was no social media. We didn't even know how popular we were, you know. I remember the first time a fan recognized me, Hip Hip Hurray was over, it had finished, and I had joined Channel V and I was doing a show for Channel V, a travel show, my first travel show for Channel V. I was in Jabalpur and we were shooting in the Marble Rocks, you know, संगमरमर के जो पहाड़ है वहाँ shoot कर रहे थे हम लोग. And suddenly from the back I heard someone running and screaming and shouting, running to this 15-16-year-old girl. So एक तो मैं मज़र चिल्ला रही थी ना, it didn't strike me कि क्या चिल्ला रही हो, and I looked back saying कि क्या हो रहा है, and I was like, is she talking to me? Is she like jumping, like what's going on? And then she just leaped onto me and hugged me, and then I realized that she's a Hip Hip Hurray fan. This is now 1.5 years after Hip Hip Hurray has released. I mean, now in today's time, a film doesn't last for a weekend also, you know. No. So I mean so we didn't have this. We didn't know how famous we were, unless you were really in the business. You were a producer. You knew कि collection कितना होता है. I didn't know anything. Now with social media, you are following. You know कि कितना popular हूँ मैं, कितने लोग मेरे interviews देखते हैं, कितना views हुआ है. All this material comes to you. And you're right. It does put limitations also onto you. But I try not to look at any of that.
But like, what's your most memorable interview you did?
Oh, so many. Shah Rukh Khan, great interview. Kamal Hassan, superb interview. Jagu Dada, Apna Bidu, I think amazing. I mean, I was lucky to do an interview with him back then. You know, and I see him on Instagram sometimes. I think he's quite amazing because he's really being also very authentic. You know, that's who he is. You know.
Yeah. What was it being like standing next to Shah Rukh Khan and like interviewing him? Because like, even though he's a bigger star today, but at that time also he was like quite...
No, he was very big then also.
Big also, he was already King and Khan. You were starting off in your career. It was also not... You were very well established by that time.
I mean, anyone who's met Shah Rukh will tell you this about him. I mean, I'm not saying anything different. He's an amazing guy. So he walks into the room and he makes you feel completely relaxed. You know, he comes in... I mean, whoever you are, if he's met you before, he'll make you feel amazing. You know, that's his gift. That's why he's so amazing. You know, so if you even feel nervous of meeting Shah Rukh Khan when he comes inside and he starts talking to you, unless you piss him off, of course. You see some journalists really piss him off and then he goes for them. But if you're doing your job properly and he's there, he gives you so much respect that you relax. You feel like, ठीक है यार, can do. He wants you to do your work well also, right? Because he's also doing his work well. So I think he's definitely one of the most amazing people to meet, talk to, and he's intelligent and he speaks well and he's respectful. So I mean that's what. Unfortunately, I wish all actors were like that. All people you meet were like that. He's
unfortunately, I haven't yet had the privilege of interviewing him one-on-one.
You must.
I want to. I'm dying for it. He's not doing interviews. That is the problem. But hopefully soon it will happen. Hopefully he is hoping to it.
Good luck.
But what's the weirdest interaction you had with a celebrity?
The weirdest interaction. There's one thing that happened very strange. I won't name the person, but there was a singer that we were interviewing once, and she walked onto the set and she was wearing something really strange. I mean, she was a very good singer and very beautiful woman, but she was wearing something that, I mean, her V-line was till her navel. It was like, So, I mean, it was lovely. She looked beautiful, but it was hard to focus on her through the interview. And even my producer was there. He was standing there and we survived it. We did the interview. It was like holding back, then looking, trying hard to focus on her eyes. And then at the end of the interview, I asked her. I said, I love what you're wearing, but I mean, we don't know whether I should look or not look. Like she said, the trick is to look and not show that you're looking. Saying that I'll take. So I said, all right, okay.
But it's been 15 years to like one of the most iconic films that you did. And Rock On will always be a part of that history.
Years,
I don't think anyone had ever imagined that a film about a band, about music, would ever get a national award.
Yeah.
That was never...
And do so well.
Right? And do so well commercially as well. For you, when you look back at that time, because when you were shooting, you might not have known how life-changing it would be.
Yeah.
But then when you of eventually saw the consequence of it, the effect it had, the impact it had, how was it dealing with it?
Yeah. So like as you rightfully said, Akash, because as I said, that fan who came running in Jabalpur, I had no idea of what stardom meant. I was not part of huge successes. My Brother Nikhil, as you said, at the time it released, it was talked about. Yeah. I got recognized as an actor, but it was not mad stardom. लोग पागल नहीं हो रहे थे. Channel भी चलता था. We used to go for Channel V parties, वहाँ पे fans मिलते थे. But it was a very sort of different kind of scene, रात को party करना. It was more like, buddy kind of, you're making friends and you're going out and partying with musicians. Different scene था वो. Craze नहीं था, craze वाला fan नहीं होता था वहाँ पे. And then Rock On happened. I didn't know what I'd signed up to because I know Ritesh and Farhan from before. And Gattu, Shanu Sharma was a casting director. She called me to meet Gattu. I met Gattu, and Gattu made me audition for number 2. I mean, he was looking for Joe at that point of time, for Arjun's part. And so I think he was auditioning lots of people for Joe. And when I auditioned, he said, you don't fit the character I'm looking for, but I think you'll fit this other character. So come back and do that. So I did that. So 2-3 times I met Gattu, and Gattu was not saying anything. I was not getting a reply from Shanu or Gattu. 2-3 weeks had passed. So anyway, I left it. Audition to bahut dete hain, ek aur ho gaya. And then I met Ritesh in the gym. Ritesh I know for many years, like because I used to go and play in his building and all that. So Ritesh I met and he said, "Arey, I heard you auditioned for us." And he said, "Very good audition. I saw audition." So I said, "Which audition?" "I'm not auditioned for Excel." So he said, "No, I saw Gattu's with him, yeah." So I said, "Oh, Gattu's from?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You all are producing it?" He said, "Yeah, we are producing it." Then I got excited first time because Excel is, Excel. So I said, "Oh wow, okay, Excel is producing it, So I said, "What's happened?" He said, "You'll get a call. You'll get a call." So then I got a call. Then I got excited. I'm on an Excel film, and they were Dil Chatan already released, so like what kind of movies they make. And then I did Rock On. Amazing experience. But the first time it hit me like a full jhatka, like a lightning bolt, what I had done is when we saw the movie for the first time. So I saw the movie and I couldn't move from the chair for the first 10 minutes of sitting there. I was like, ये क्या हुआ है? ये पिछले 2-2.5 घंटे हुए. What has just happened? I'm a part of this movie, And then it was just madness. We saw the movie about maybe a week before it released, and then it released, and then the craze started of Rock On, and it was complete madness. I mean, I've never seen that kind of craziness.
Yeah, and when we see now films about 3 or 4 guys, like there's always this expectation that they would be buddying up behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
Like how people used to have this misconception that if 2 women are there, there would be fights.
Yeah.
But if boys are there, there would be a lot of
buddies,
buddying happening. Was it the case during the shoot?
But that's the funny thing about Rock On. It was the case of Rock On. And even in part 2, Shraddha also was involved in the buddies. She also became a part of that gang. The thing is that it's music, right? And we became real musicians for the film. I learned to play the drums. I used to have a drum kit put over here where you're sitting at the back. And for a year that drum kit was there, and I used to bang it every time I came back home, you know. So Arjun learned the guitar. Farhan of course sings, and now he's a proper musician. That started from Rock On. You know, that's when he started training himself, and Luke played the keyboards. And in part 2, you had the other musicians that joined in, and Shraddha sang her own songs, and Shashank got on the guitars. So everybody, when you have all the musicians in a room, we used to actually play and jam, you know, like we're not great, like a college band or something just starting off, we were playing, you know, and we were jamming music, and that was the connection. And not so much in part 1 also, because part 1 we were still shooting in Bombay. So at the end of the day we would come back home to our own houses. Parties में मिलते थे, वो सब होता था, सेट पे मस्ती करते थे, लेकिन सेट पे भी काम पे भी होता है ना. पर पार्ट 2 में हम लोग शिलोंग गए थे शूट करने. वी वर इन शिलोंग फॉर ऑलमोस्ट 40 days shooting over there. So there was no home. You finish shooting, you come back to hotel में सब साथ में ही थे. So that was the jam sessions and all. So it was great fun. It was great fun being I mean, I'm lucky to have had the 2 experiences of that film, and in the closeness of everyone, and as you're saying, you know, people expect that. Yes, guys are like that. I mean, they do jam up and they do have fun, and especially when there's music involved.
You have got to do it 2 times. When is the 3rd time happening?
I hope so. I mean, you should ask Farhan and Ritesh that question.
Farhan and Ritesh से हम तो पूछेंगे, but I think you should also take this request ahead ना on our behalf.
How do you know I don't take it? I take it all the time. करो यार, please करो.
I was reading somewhere you spoke that after Rock On success, like a little things got over your head as well. Like you got a little cocky about things. Somewhere do you regret it today? Maybe some.
No, I mean, I think it's part and parcel. You should be cocky about things that you've done well. You know, I mean, you should be proud of it. Your work that you're defining and want to take up and what you're expecting. I think I have every right as a person to expect that this is the kind of work I deserve and I want to do. If it doesn't happen, then okay, you step back and say, all right, now can I do what more? And there's no harm, right? There's no harm in wanting to step up and be more than what you were or what people perceived you to be, you know. And that only happens when you have a success. So one has to enjoy that moment, one has to take in that moment, acknowledge it, and make decisions from there, you know. And if those decisions don't work out and if they are wrong, then you learn from that even and come back. So I don't regret it. Whether I would be that same person that I was after Rock On 1, if another Rock On or another film gets me that kind of thing. For example, Out of Love also is super popular, not in the same zone, but I mean, you know, like I just...
Yeah, we discussed our different demographic.
Out of camera, I just explained to you what happened in that wedding in Goa. So, but now I'm a more mature person. I have learned from those experiences. So I don't regret it. I thank those experiences and say, I'm glad I had them. So I've moved on now.
But like initially dealing with success and failure is different. But when you have got such a big success, after that, does dealing with the failures become a lot
very
more challenging?
Hard. Yeah, very hard. I've had that also. I mean, in 2014 when Jal released, it was a big downfall, you know. I mean, I had a lot of expectation from Jal. All that cockiness that built from Rock On, built, and it was supposed to sort of inflate even further with Jal, in my head at least, you know. And then Jal happened, and when Jal flopped, you're like, oh, सब कुछ टूट गया. So it was hard. It was a lot of hard work. It was I'd moved out of Bombay by then already. So I moved back to Bombay for a year in 2016.
But when you moved to UK, you moved for your personal life, you moved for your personal happiness.
Yeah.
But were there people around who were telling you professionally you should not take this step? Because in the industry, like if you
That
in
even
Mumbai,
Goa happened. The first time I moved to Goa, everyone said, "Move to Goa. You left the business." That was the first time I started getting the things. I didn't know, I've not left the business. I'm here. In fact, the first year I moved to Goa, I made the most money in my career till then. You know, so I was like, "Wow!" So it's working. Clearly, it's working for me.
But now Inaya is a bit older.
Yeah.
Does she watch your film? Does she has feedbacks for you?
She's not seen anything yet. She saw. I tried to show her Rock On, and we started playing it. 5 minutes later, she said, "Now can I go watch my Matilda?" So I'm like, "Okay, watch Matilda." It was a family movie. I said, "Try to play Rock On," but it got rejected in 5 minutes.
Rock on ज़्यादा Paw Patrol चलेगा घर पे.
वही.
But I was reading one of your old interviews where your personal life has also been in question a lot of times, and you said that you don't want to divulge it in life, in public. But you have gone through things that were considered not usual or normal, or sometimes taboo also, like having a child before marriage or going through separation, and these kind of things. You went through them. When being a public figure, extra public scrutiny also when it comes there, a judgment comes there, does it becomes difficult to deal with it in personal space as well? Does it take over at times?
You know, when I was younger, I used to get very bothered by things on the personal space coming up. And I learned that if you don't make a big deal out of it,
Yeah.
people won't make a big deal out of it, you know. So I remember when I was at Channel V, and there was an article that came about my personal life, about someone I was dating at that point of time, and it was written in very bad light in a very popular entertainment publication. And that really troubled me. It really, really troubled me, and I got really bothered, you know, because it was about me, and it was just in bad, dirty taste, you know. And after that, there've been a few things, you know. I've been married before, you know. There were a few things that came out even during that time, and I've learned now that people talk. I mean, I'm an actor. People have to talk about me. I'm happy that they talk about me also, and they want to know about my life. It means that I'm affecting their life in some way. So I'm very glad, because that's what my profession is. And these are aspects of me. I can't deny them.
Yeah.
This is who I am. The only thing is, I don't want to make a big deal about it. People ask me, answer it, and move on.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm really okay now with people asking me questions, and I'll say how much I want to say on a public domain and leave it at that.
Yeah, with time you evolve, you kind of grow and understand how to deal with things. And exactly, I understand कि मतलब उस समय पे because it's happening for the first time with you.
Yeah.
और at that time तो social media भी उतना नहीं था ना.
और मोबाइल फोन भी नहीं थे, तो लोग हैरेस भी नहीं करते थे कि this is what has been said about you. Now you get things like that, and this is what has been said, and now I just say I don't want to say anything. उस टाइम पे फ़ोन आते थे, घर पे फ़ोन आता था, या मोबाइल फ़ोन थे, बट मैसेजिंग नहीं था इतना. I don't know, I mean, what was that? It was 2001. Yeah, so mobile phones were there, and calls were coming, but you used to avoid the call. You know, what do you do? Journalists are calling, asking questions. What do you do?
And dealing with it on your own is a different thing. But when a third person gets dragged into it, and without a fault of their or yours, does it hamper professional equations as well?
I don't know professional equations, but it hampers personal relationships. Yeah, I think it does. At least with me, it has.
But finding love again, was there a little apprehension at that time? Because once you had gone through something.
I don't think I was looking at it as apprehension. I think I was looking at it as more as experience. So having gone through an end of a relationship, you probably lose belief in relationships, and you just go out and live a different sort of life, you know, and then you evolve and you start seeing what that life is like, and then in time you want to get back into a relationship, you know, and then so it happened very organically and naturally for me. I didn't sort of feel like apprehensive about getting to. I didn't want to have a relationship, a strong relationship. I wanted to be sort of open, as they say nowadays, for a period in life, you know, and I was not. And then I felt, okay, now I'm ready to get back into a relationship, and then I got back into a relationship. So I think you go through that, right? I mean, anyone who's been through a breakup also, just not say a marriage breakup, but even a strong breakup, for a period of time, you don't want to like see other people. You want to get over that for a bit. And then you go on to something else, if you want to. Maybe it takes longer for some people. It took me about 4 or 5 years to get back into another relationship.
But eventually it turned out to be the relationship for you.
Yes, absolutely.
And you have 2 beautiful kids today.
Yeah.
And when you see na ki Inaya is growing up in the UK, but does it as a father somewhere concern you that in India still people consider it somewhere wrong morally to have a child before marriage? Do you somewhere feel that when she comes to India or whenever she comes while growing up, because after certain sense she will also gain that maturity, but when she comes, some people might say things to her ki you were point this out in a dirty, in a wrong way. Does it concern you as a parent of
No,
how
it
she would
doesn't.
be?
I mean, it doesn't concern. It'll concern anyone if your child is impacted by it. But Inaya knows that. She knows she was born before Lucy and me were married, and we love her to death. So I mean, what is wrong with that? If anything is possible, there's nothing wrong with it. It's possible to have a child without being married. You know, it's possible. It's human. It's nature. So I don't see it as anything wrong. Everybody around me doesn't see it as anything wrong. If someone sitting in some far off place feels it's wrong, good luck to them.
I do understand.
I'm a member of a club here, and when Lucy and me were, when I did POW basically, I'd come to Bombay for 1 year, and then Lucy and I moved from London to Bombay to live here, and sort of putting their name down for the membership, and I put in the form, and the lady who took the form, she knows me since I was a kid because I'm a member of this club since I was a kid, and she said, "What's all this?" So you made a mistake in the form. So I said, "No, ma'am, I've not made any mistake." She said, "You made a mistake because your daughter's birth date is before your wedding date. How is that possible?" So I looked at her, smiled, and said, "Ma'am, that's very possible." She got fully flustered. She was like, "Oh yes." So I'm saying, if you have no shame in what you've done, because it's not a shameful act, it's a beautiful act.
It's a
beautiful act. So there were people in my family that said, "Oh, maybe you should get married now." Before Inaya was born and we were pregnant, he said, "Maybe you should get married now." I said, "No." I said, we want to get married. It's not that we don't want to get married. But I don't want to take away the dignity of this event. She's my child, my first child being born. I've always wanted to have a child, and this is my child being born. I love her. I love the child. Whatever it is, if we are married or not. So let that happen. Once that happens, then we'll think about marriage, because that's the next event. ये event को complete होने दो पहले.
True.
So and just because ये हुआ है अभी जल्दी से ये कर लो, नहीं करना है. करेंगे, शान से करेंगे ना.
Yeah, and you should do it when you are ready, when you want to do it. It should never be out of pressure anyways.
So we have full dignity for both, for our wedding, for our children. We love them both. There's no difference between both of them, and they know that. As long as they know that, they'll never be impacted by what other people think. So other people think कुछ भी यार. If you live your life thinking what other people think, then it's a hard life.
But how did you kind of change yourself as a partner for Lucy? Because you had experience before.
I think changing yourself for a partner is everyday effect, right? Every day you have to like sort of, when you're in a relationship with someone, you have to love them a lot first to start off with. And if you love them, then you'll do things for them, they'll do things for you, There are big movements. Lucy's moved here to India. She had never lived in India before. We were in a long distance relationship. She came here because I couldn't come, because I was going back and forth, and now we're having a child, so we needed to be together. We couldn't be living in different countries. Those days were over. So then she made the effort and came here, and then she's grown up in the UK. She made all that. She lived here, in the house, and I live with my father. So there was that adjustment. It's a very different system over there. Then I'm going to the UK now. I live over there. So we and every day we want different things. Lucy's been a mother for 7-8 years now. Now she's wanting to go out and start working again. So now I have to make some adjustments and see, okay, how do I give her space also to, and we are building a life together. That's what a relationship is, So that's what I've learned.
How did you two actually meet?
Through my sister. Lucy and my sister studied together.
Oh, I think your family has a lot of contribution in your poignant decisions in your life.
Of course.
You met through people.
You need good family around, no?
Yeah.
You need good, you should get good family and friends. That's what life is, yeah.
And like you have had roots in the industry
Yeah.
from before, like the biggest is Dev Anand sir.
Yeah.
You have always had that. So did you feel that pressure somewhere that you also should enter this industry while growing up?
No, not at all. My mother was, my father also was a producer. He also was a director. But there was no pressure to sort of work in the film industry. Do what you want to do was always the thing. Yeah, and I mean, when I started acting, some of the family did call and say, you know, come, you need to fix this, you need to correct that, which I got scared because I didn't, as I said, I didn't want to act really. So I was like, nahi karna hai. But they were like, you know, they were trying to help me sort of improve on things, become a better actor. You know, I was not a born actor, so Hip Hip Hurray I always say is my school. I learned acting over there. If you see my first scenes of Hip Hip Hurray to the last scenes, I grew as an actor in those 80 episodes. So and even after that, not only Hip Hip Hurray, the other shows I did, I think I feel like now I'm feeling like I'm really in a good space for acting. You know, now I feel more confident after like 25 years of doing it. But till even 5 or 6 years ago, even till the first Out of Love, I used to feel very underconfident. You know, I go on a set, feel very nervous, saying okay. I think only in the last 5-7 years I've started feeling like, okay, I have command over this craft, I know what I'm doing in the set. Otherwise I was always looking for things to do and, you know, how do I fix this, how do I do that. Now I go and feeling more like, okay, I can handle this.
Yeah, but what's like your fondest memory with Dev sir, like, or maybe something that you remember him by even today?
Well, I remember he called me to meet him when I started acting. He said, he called my dad and said, Kuku, get Purab to meet me. So my dad took me to meet him and met him in his house, and he was casting for a film that he was making at that point of time. But he said, you're too young for it. He was looking for an older person. He had not seen me for many years, so he said, I've heard you acting, so come and see me because I'm wanting to make a film and I have a part for a boy in it. So I went and saw him, but he looked at me and tu bahut chota hai. Karenge kuch aage karenge. And of course he passed away. But the whole family will talk about him. He was an amazing guy. He was that star, you know. He was a big, bright, shining star. And even in real life, when you saw him, he was that.
But like right now, since your kids are growing up in UK, they are still away from this limelight that this industry brings.
Yeah.
Because they are still away from it. But have you prepared them of how to kind of deal with it when they come here, or because there would be cameras in their faces?
They see it. I mean, like my daughter sees people. Even in London, it happens. Sometimes they're walking on the street. If where Indians are there, and someone recognizes me. And you know, I've done a show called Sense8 on Netflix, which was very popular at one time. My daughter was very young, and there were even other people in the UK who had seen it would come up and ask for photographs and all of that. So my daughter's seen it. She's seen a lot of it, and she's lived here in Bombay also. So she's seen it in Bombay. She's come to my sets. They come to my sets. They see my work. My daughter's even seen articles online. And I think because they have like an internet class in their school, and I think they have Googled me. So because she says you're on Google. She's told me once. So she knows that things are going on. She's older. My son, I think he won't care also. He doesn't, he's in another world only. He's a jungle boy. Everything is in the forest. He likes to go into the forest, and so he's got that genes from us. But my daughter's interested to know what's going on. She's quite creative herself. So she does her dramatics in school and all of that, so she's interested.
But I think she's gonna be a star in herself, not just I think
she definitely has that. I don't know if she'll be an actor, but she's definitely is going to be in the, I don't know, my thing is, who knows?
It's just wishful
she's very,
thinking. We are not
she's very young. I'm sure she'll have.
Yeah, we are
I'm
not
sure she'll
predicting
have,
anything.
I'm
It's
sure
just
she'll have.
wishful thinking. But I'm sure we are going to have another conversation soon.
Yes, I hope
We'll
so.
have a part
I
2
hope
of
so.
this.
I hope
This
so.
is internal, guys. But
Picture abhi bhi baki hai.
But thank you so much, Purab. I had a great time speaking with
Thank
you. I
you,
hope you
Akash.
had a
Thank
good
you.
time
Absolutely.
as well.
Absolutely.
Wishing you lots and lots of love and luck for everything you do, and keep being you, because that is what makes you awesome.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you. Hello, this is Purab Kohli and you are watching me on Bollywood Bubble.